There are bad losses, and the Nuggets loss to the Mavericks was a downright wretched one. Someone on Denver has got to guard. Coming up on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day, being with us Monday through Friday, being an everydayer, making this your first listen. We appreciate each and every single one of you joining us on YouTube, on podcasts, wherever you watch. We are appreciative of everyone that is a fan of the show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, well, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Matt Moore. I've been covering the Nuggets for 14 years, and I swear I've seen them guard at least once in that time. I write for the Denver Dig. I write for the Action Network. I write for Fansided. And I'm the co-host of Locked On NBA Daily, Monday through Friday. On today's show, we will talk about the Nuggets loss to the Dallas Mavericks, the team that I feel is the worst offense in the league, as they gave up a whole ton of points in a game that they should have won, their fourth straight loss at home, and why this one is so concerning on such a deep level beyond all the other ones. We'll get into all that and more on today's show. Plus, Jamal Murray's injury, what that means, Spencer Jones' big night, all that. All right, here we go. So we'll start here. The Nuggets in this game got off to an incredible start. It was a dominant first quarter for this Denver Nuggets team. They outclassed the Mavericks so badly that they fell into the same habit that they tend to, which is the offense is going so easy and they just start coasting. Because they were up into, I love the energy that they play with early in this game. Like, they were the first to make contact. They were the first to initiate force. They were the first to leverage. They were on both ends. They played phenomenal. Jokic had 15, 9, and 6 after the first quarter. It looked like it was going to be a rout. This looked awesome. The bench comes in, loses momentum, stalls out. They start chipping away. They start finding more comfort. The second run with the starters, everything starts to really collapse and it gets bad in a hurry. And then in the third, everything falls apart, and it falls apart more in the fourth. Nuggets lose by giving up an unbelievable 131 points to the Dallas Mavericks. A team with Ryan Nembhard at point guard, who was phenomenal. So good. Like, he was really good and made every right decision. A team with Cooper Flagg, a rookie who is still finding his way, scoring 24 points on 10 of 19 shooting. They allowed Anthony Davis to have 32 points on 13 of 23 shooting, when AD, quite honestly, is not like what he once was and should never be doing this, and it should not be this easy for him. And the big one, Ryan Nembhard with 28 points, 10 assists, no turnovers, none in this game. There's a lot of different ways to kind of look at this. Okay. I want to take the comments because I think you guys have the right to be mad as much as you want on this one, but I want to try and talk about it and try and provide some more context on it. I'm not going to refute them. I'll just try and talk about what it is that you're saying. So, Igor Migre says Adelman resting Jokic so long is costing them. No. So the reason I'll refute this is Jokic gets to sit sometimes. You can't be this bad defensively. This is my thing with the injuries too. It does not matter. I am always willing to make excuses for teams across the course of 82 games. You could do that. Across the course of 82 games, great teams still lose 25 to 30 games a season. Great teams lose 25 to 30 games. But you have to be able to guard. It doesn't matter that Aaron Gordon is out. You got to be able to guard. It doesn't matter that Christian Brown is out. You got to be able to guard. The basic ability to stop the guy in front of you, to contest, to put yourself in a position where he does not have a clean look. has to be present as a team, 1 through 15. Who's on, who's off, does not matter. This is a collective failure, and it stems from coaching to the roster to the players to even, yes, Nikola Jokic. I'm not going to sit here and drag Jokic. I will tell you that if I wanted to, I can show you all the plays where Ryan Nembhard is still scoring at the rim on drop coverage, which is the entire point. It should that you do drop coverage is to prevent that. But nobody got over screens. Nobody stopped perimeter containment. Everybody was a step slow on their closeouts. So then you got another point. Then you're shielding the offense. Now you're in rotation and you're having too many times. The bigger thing here, if you want to know, somebody asked if it was a scheme problem above, was asking, is this a scheme problem? And the answer is yes and no. And the reason it's yes is the Nuggets have a new scheme, which means they have to execute it correctly. Do you know what causes that scheme to break down? When guys don't guard on the perimeter on their guy. When the center does not provide any rim protection whatsoever, when guys do get beat. There's a sequence, there's a play that I illustrated, or I showed some of the media guys, where Peyton Watson does a great job of jumping out in front of Ryan Nembhard to prevent him from going right. That's a good move. So Dwight Powell moves to the side and re-screens him. Dwight Powell is an awesome screener. Like, Dwight Powell has made himself millions in this league by being able to do like 4 things. And one of them is he screens really well. It is okay for Peyton Watson to get screened in that spot. That's okay. Like, he gets to get screened there. He tries to recover, but everyone collapses down simultaneously. And it happens twice. On one of them, Joker just lets him go to the rim and score. The other one, Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown both come down to help, which means what? You're leaving open shooters. There's 2 different plays that happened during the Mavericks run where Cam Johnson, they're in a matchup zone. Okay. And matchup zones are complicated. I don't understand them. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know everything about them. But what you do have is you have a sequence where in a matchup zone situation, Bruce Brown is coming from the strong side of the floor to the weak side of the floor, chasing the ball. The whole point of zone is you're guarding space. And you are guarding matchup. But in doing so, Cam Johnson clearly thinks that he's taken over responsibility for the ball, and the ball gets reversed the other way. Bruce Brown's over there. It's an open 3. Like, these are mental mistakes where guys not being locked in enough to understand them. And I'm going to be a little soft on Bruce tonight because Bruce was sick. But thank God he played, because if he hadn't, without Jamal, I mean, maybe it might have been better just because Jalen Pickett might have come in and done something better. Maybe Jalen Pickett guards somebody. Like Adelman talked about that postgame about, I'm going to have to go find somebody who's willing to guard because they don't have it right now. Like, this is where I'm at of as much as I think they need a power forward and as much as I'm kind of like a little soft on the point guard stuff, because as I mentioned, you don't know that you're going to have enough minutes for them. If the defense is going to be this bad, you got to find somebody who's willing to guard. There are too many fast guards. No, there's not as many on OKC. No, there's not as many on Houston. Although Reed Shepherd's getting there, but I think they could play Reed Shepherd off the floor. No, there's not as many on Minnesota. No, there's not as many on amongst the teams that they're having to go through in the Western Conference. There are not as many super fast guards like they've had struggles with. But you're going to face enough in the regular season. These are home games versus bad teams. They've lost to the Kings. They've lost to the Bulls. They've lost to the Mavericks. Those are unforgivable. Those are killer. Those are the losses that when you get to the end of the season, these are the ones where it's like, man, you could have been a 2 seed. You could have had home court, but now you're going to Houston for that game 7 because you decided that you didn't want to guard. And want to is tough. Want to is tough. Because I don't think this is just an effort thing. And I'll tell you why coming up on Locked On Nuggets. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. You can feel those plays coming. FanDuel lets you jump in on the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. Hey, you can bet on those Denver Broncos, #1 seed, to win the Super Bowl. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. Ruben says, "Hi, Matt. Hope your 5K went well." It did. I was very enthused. I was very encouraged by it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm doing it again next year. Think about signing up for another one in January. That's how much fun I had doing that 5K. Somebody asked me if this was an unprofessional loss, and it wasn't Ryan, but that's Ryan's go-to. I don't think so. I don't think that it was just like, I know what it looks like when they just don't care, right? There's a lot of times last year like they just didn't care. They're just lazy. This isn't laziness. And that's worse because it's a genuine, they can't do this. They do not have the guys to guard these type of guards. Klay Thompson got hot. And credit to Klay Thompson for doing so. 15 points off the bench, 5 of 10, 3 of 5. They were really worried about Klay Thompson to the point where they gave up 31 threes. Adelman said after the game, some of these were shots that they wanted to give up to guys, and the guys just hit them. Now, I don't know who that is because Max Christie made 3 of 4. Christie is 57% from the corners this season. 2 of his three were from corners. Nembhard was the other one, 4 of 5. D'Angelo Russell was 2 of 6 because D'Lo was D'Lo. Like Nembhard killed them, and Nembhard's like the only point guard on the roster, so like that's a little bit of a problem here. They are unable to handle these type of guards. That's where I get to. I was talking to Ryan, who predictably wants to make a trade, and I think he's right. I don't blame him for this. And I was like pushing back because I was like, well, look, on these plays where they're just messing up these matchup zone looks, or they're not Xing out correctly like they did in the Spurs loss, having a better defender isn't going to help you. And I'll also say this, like, you can add, let's say that the Kings, because they're the Kings, gave you Keon Ellis for Zeke Naji in a swap. I don't think they would, but let's say that they did. Keon Ellis can't do it on his own. Would he have gotten better over screens and helped defend better? Yes. But like Jokic is still going to have to contain if he's going to play drop coverage. He's just going to have to. If you're going to give up, like guys are going to get screened. Like this is where I do have a hard time is with the level of physicality that's allowed from the perspective of offensive players get to dictate things. Like if you're a defensive player and you just like burst over that screen, you're going to get called for a foul. Adelman mentioned this, and I do think it was indicative of the lack of physicality. The Nuggets only had 11 fouls, and one of the quarters they had like none. They just did not contest at all. And so like they were not physical, and that's definitely part of the problem. But if you bring in a defender who is physical, like Keon Ellis, okay, you will get better on a third of these possessions. You're still going to have to guard on closeouts. You're still going to have to stop the ball on kickouts. You're still going to have to like. A lot of this is that you can live with you can live with the screen action pick and roll stuff. It's rough in part because of Yoke. But you can't survive when it's like pick and roll, kick out, and then the kick out breaks contain. You can't have a one-on-one situation. And it happens a lot where guys are ball watching or they're trying to help. Again, I will maintain this. All NBA defenses help too much at this point with where the game is at. Is everybody wants to help, and that leaves 3-pointers, and you can't do that with where the game is. It is legitimately pretty rough. Jay Cycle says they need some form of rim protector. Without AG, the collapsing into the paint, leading the open threes just won't stop. Peyton and Spencer are actually better perimeter defenders than AG and CB. I agree with some of this. I actually think Spencer was like here's what's frustrating. I think Spencer was really good tonight defensively. He got caught on 2 to 3 3-pointers where he was a step slow and thought he could recover. But he's also trying to help other guys contain their guy because they're not. I agree you need rim protection, but I will also say this, that one of the things that did happen a lot last year is AG was like still a pretty good rim protector, and they just literally moved him up. Like, oh, we're gonna take whoever you're guarding and we're gonna move them above the break, and you can't get down there. We're not gonna let you. Like you have to have willingness to do this. I don't. So some of this too is the stuff with with Joker is very specifically kind of this. Joker does have quick hands. Joker is disruptive. Joker is a really smart defender because he's a very smart basketball player. Joker made like a couple of swipes tonight that were actually really smart down low. Like I was actually like, oh, that was a really good play by him. Okay. He could be disruptive in certain sequences. Given his offensive load, it is unreasonable to expect him to be a guy that contains at a high drop point, retreats to the rim, keeps contained, blocks a shot. Like you have to kind of live because of all the amazing, awesome stuff that he does. You have to live with that defensively. And you have to cover for it. And a lot of that is that you have to operate at an 80% of max defensive level. Anything less than that, and the drop off is unbelievably steep for every percentage point you go below that. And honestly, without AG and CB, it's probably more like 90. Because you just don't have stuff like their awareness of these schemes. Like they make fewer mistakes. And so you have to compensate for Jokic. I get hung up because I'm like, Jokic needs to like actually put a hand up and try and contest on some of these shots. Like a lot of these are just like when he gets, and I showed him on the Denver dig. If you want to go back and watch, like there are sequences where Joker just like he does the half-hearted like I'm swiping at you. Like that's not a contest, right? But you have to compensate for that, and the Nuggets quite simply are not. Now the question is just like, can they, right? Like, is it reasonable to expect Peyton Watson to be able to get over every single screen? Now, I thought Peyton Watson tonight was a lot more focused on the offensive end than he was on the defensive end. Watson tonight, 15 points, 7 of 14, took 14 shots, 50% from the field, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, he was doing a lot on offense, and he had to because Jamal Murray got hurt. So I get it from that perspective. But, if Watson is not going to be the guy that gets over screens and contests and recovers, nobody's going to. Sammy says season is over. Fire Adelman. No, that's not. No. It is like they're going to be fine, but this is unacceptable and this is really concerning. Like this is just like a problem. Like this, and they're going to have to figure this out. We could spend more time on the offense in that late stage. Like they could have won this game by outscoring him, but to me, it's kind of beside the point. You scored 121. You started settling for jump shots because you were tired and you didn't have your point guard. Like you were down to a really miserable offensive lineup at the end of that game. But you win that game if you get stops at any point in that game. At any stretch of that game between the second and fourth quarter, if they get a solid run of stops, they win that game. But they could not do it. And it is incredibly frustrating. Like Cam Spencer was terrible, or not Cam Spencer, Cam Johnson was terrible tonight offensively. And I didn't think he was good defensively either. If Jamal Murray's going to get hurt, guess who has to step up? It's going to have to be Cam. Cam, like, you just can't. You can't go 3 or 10 in this game. You can't. You can't have 10 points on 10 shots, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover, minus 14, worst on the team. You can't do that. The whole thing is you are a more complete player than Michael Porter Jr. And MPJ is either getting up more shots and he's probably scoring more tonight. Now, he's not going to help you on the defensive end, but Cam didn't tonight either. Like, that was a major failure by him. Like this was a game where they actually needed Cam. And they are not designed to need Cam, but that's where they're at. And he wasn't there. But on the other end of this is just like the defense. Like ultimately, this is just about the defense. They have got to get stops. It doesn't really matter how. It doesn't. It doesn't matter how they're supposed to get stops. They just got to get them. They got to figure this out, and they've got to be able to find a way to get contained. We'll talk about Jamal Murray's injury. I also want to touch on why I continue to have concerns about the zone defense, specifically because of nights like tonight. We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports. You got bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, it's fast, it's available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. The early payout feature is a great bonus. When your lineup starts strong, you may get the option to cash out early. The new stacks feature lets you choose the same player up to 3 times in one lineup, like more on a quarterback's passing yards, touchdowns, and rushing yards. Sounds like a Bo Nix prop option for me. Download the Prize Pick app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Dusty Old Cal says, seriously, I saw Nembhard cook Spencer Jones on the perimeter. P-Watt collapsed to help and wide open for Christie. We have multiple defensive problems, perimeter and rim. I agree. I also don't think it's really fair to be like Spencer Jones. Like Spencer Jones is a forward. Like this is one of the things. P-Watt's like a 2-3 and Spencer is a 3-4. And they're having to guard Nembhard, who is a 1. And as much as positionality, you could say, like, sorry, nobody's going to be faster. Nobody's going to be fast enough. They don't have that guy. You have to have insane guys like that. It's not to go down this road, but in these particular matchups, Russell Westbrook did a lot of this stuff last year. He just did. Like, Russ handled a lot of this stuff last year. And they do not have that on the roster currently. Maybe Bruce could have been better tonight if he wasn't sick as a dog, right? Because Bruce is kind of supposed to be that guy. I don't even think Bruce is like that matchup. You need like a pure can shoot threes and get over screens guy. Again, it's Keon Ellis is like the guy, which Kings fans are going to be furious because I was the one that last year was like, you can't be firing Mike Brown for not playing Keon Ellis enough. And sure enough, he didn't turn their season around. But like, that's the level of guy that you need. Maybe Chris Dunn if the Clippers blow it up. Sammy wants to talk about, can you talk about Adelman waiting every game with 4 minutes left in the second to play Jokic? We don't get to have our cake and eat it too. You want Joker fresh for the playoffs, right? You want him to have more energy. You want him to be able to be in the best position possible to compete when the games are meaningful. That means keeping his minutes down. You can't keep burning him out in these situations. And the Jonas minutes were, of course, terrible. He had a minus 42 net rating tonight. Have a 154 defensive rating. So it was bad for sure. But like, you have to let him sit sometimes. And I just don't think that the answer is always more Jokic. Like, especially because, you know, with Joker on the floor, they had a 120.5 defensive rating. It's not good enough. They lost the Joker minutes again. It was by a point, but they lost them again. They are not designed that way. There are other things I think to be mad about here. Philip says the goal should be a cover for Jokic by surrounding him with pests. Who are the pests on our team besides maybe CB and Spence when he isn't fouling hard? I see what you're saying here, but it's also like, you do want to, you are going to be an offensive centric team. You're built around Nikola Jokic. You also don't want to surround him with non-weapons, right? You don't want him surrounded by guys that can't shoot, so they're just packing the paint like last year. You're never going to be a good, like, you can have 4 pests. You're still going to be a limited defensive team because of Yoke. You just are. So there's got to be a balance there. I see what you're saying. And I don't even think that CB is necessarily pesty. I don't think that, I agree with you, they need a pest, but I don't think they need 4 pests. That's not what they need. J-Man says, why are we allowing the opposition with wide open shots from downtown? So I kind of talked about this. Go back and watch, go read my stuff over at the Denver Dig, thedenverdig.com. It's got a piece on the Spurs that talks about some of their problems there. This one was very, like, I was watching the stuff in the game, and it is miscommunications, it is drop coverage, and it is a failure of KYP. And like, that's just like what it is. A lot of this I do genuinely think is that I'm not even kidding you. And this is not endemic to the Nuggets. This is pretty much every team. Nobody reads scouting reports because they play everybody over and over and over again. So they know what you can do or what you can't. Like, the great defenders will like study a scouting report and be like, can't let him go right. Can't let him go right. He's going to want to get back to the Euro step. Got to be ready for that. Like, they'll have all the moves scouted. But most guys are just like, can he shoot? Can he not shoot? And I genuinely think that Ryan Nembhard entered this game and the Nuggets were just like, yeah, whatever. It's another game. And we're not scared about him. And like, he's shooting 43% from 3 this season. Guard Ryan Nembhard. They were trying to guard Klay Thompson, but they kept getting caught coming over screens. Again, I've talked about this last year. Even with DB back, they don't have anybody who can get over screens. They just don't. Like, this is a hole in the roster. And guys are going to have to be able to come up with some sort of level. Because some of this, too, is, okay, if you can't contain with trailing over the screen, you have to play at the level, which Joker's doing less of this season, and Jared Dudley has them doing less of. They're running a lot of zone. And Adelman made a really good point in pregame, because what he was talking about was one of the benefits of zone is that it allows you to kind of identify and trial and error what the various problems are that offensive schemes present. Because zone lets you kind of experiment with, like, okay, do we want to dive on this? Do we want to cut slice? Like, slice is what he was referring to a lot in this game, is that they were slicing incorrectly into on the defensive side, like in help situations. So I get all that. I am just, their zone has too many moments where guys are late to recognize what they got to do. And if you do that consistently, it gets you in a lot of trouble, especially when teams start hitting. And he talked about this too, of once guys get comfortable and get into a rhythm, you can't get them out of it. Like, this league is full of, and this game is proven this team can't shoot. This Mavericks team can't shoot. And you let them bomb on you because you were late on all of these rotations. So some of this is an execution of game plan standpoint. It's KYP. It is effort. But when I watch them, I don't see them being lazy. Like, when I go back and I watch to be like, try and figure out who to blame this on, I don't see the Nuggets being lazy. They're not just like getting hung up on screens and just being like, well, whatever. I see that with a lot of teams. That's not how Denver's playing. They just can't get there. And they've got no help, and they've especially got no help from the big. So that's a large part of it. Oh, I got a chance to bring back one of my favorite things. Hang on. I got a comment here. Okay. We got an itch in the comments who says, Adelman is an idiot. Fire him or trade Jokic to a better organization. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this back. It's just FYI, the Nuggets are not trading Nikola Jokic unless he requests a trade. They will never do it unless they are forced to, and there's no point in talking about it before he does so, if he ever does so. Thanks. J.K. Walrus is a joyous purgatory we found ourselves in. Yeah, man. I mean, look, again, it's easy to overreact to these, and that's what I'm always trying to avoid. This one was worth reacting to. Like, this one is worth you being, like, you should be mad as a fan, especially the home fans booing at the end. I do not blame them for it. They haven't seen a win in weeks. You gotta win your home games. This is the Western Conference, man. What are you doing? You've got to win your home games. them not protecting it is gross. And the vibes are not good, which is to be expected. We're in that, like, this is the grind. This is where it gets hard. You know, it's not early season. The weather's not warm. It's tough, and you're playing all the time. And Adam had mentioned they're home. They're on a road trip and they come home for a day and then they're gone again, and that's hard. But it's like, okay, you know, do you want infinite road trips forever? Because those are pretty hard too. THTR says, I never overreact or underreact. My reactions are always perfect, and this loss sucked. It did. This was a terrible loss. And they need to win these games. They just do. And there's got to be better performance defensively. The coaching side, because this is Dudley. This is Jared Dudley's baby. And I thought the early results were really great. And they were. This is when they were like the second best defense in the league, right? And with AG and CB, they are. And honestly, I will say I underestimated how much of an impact not having those guys was going to have because of the scheme that they're running and how much CB and AG know how to effectively and how to execute those schemes correctly. Because like they're having a hard time with that with Bruce, with Tim, with Cam, like all of these things are difficult. They need to sharpen up. Jay Cycle says the team's always had weird quirks like this. The record on the second night of back-to-backs last year made no sense. I agree with you to a certain extent, but it's also like they got to be past that, man. You want to have an all-time season, you want to compete for a championship, you can't have these weird quirks things happening. Like they reveal weakness in you. And the Nuggets are a weak team right now that anybody can beat, and that's been proven by the fact that they've lost the Bulls, the Kings, and the Mavericks at home. Like championship contenders do not do that. And everyone, I'm just going to make that emphasis, everyone is part of that solution. This is not a Peyton Watson's got to figure it out, or Jamal Murray's got to figure it out, or David Allen's got to figure it. Like this is an everybody thing because teams are attacking one specific spot on the floor and everything flows out of that. They're attacking one person. Like they're attacking Jokic because he's the center. It's not because it's Jokic. They're just attacking the center. And everybody is incorrectly responding as that goes. Jamal's injury, not good. Pretty concerning. Injured the ankle, got hurt, was really slow getting to the locker room, came back out, tried to play, and then left again. That's always a concerning one. They'll probably do an MRI. We'll see if there's anything major. Nobody's concerned about that. I could tell nobody's concerned about the A word. I'm not even going to mention. Doesn't seem like that's it. Seems like it's just an ankle, but it's going to swell. He's probably going to miss some time. They're going to be down 3 starters. I guess Jalen Pickett time because Julian Strother is not coming back anytime soon. He is barely able to do mobility exercises because of how much pain he's in with his back. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. Jamal was also great tonight. That's one of the things that really sucks is like Jamal was actually battling defensively, I thought, early on in this game. He had 10 points on 3 of 8 shooting, but he had 9 assists. Like he was moving the ball. Jamal was playing great. And he was trying to get over screens. So they are in need of some guys stepping up and getting them. Now, do remember that like they just beat the Suns. Okay, somebody mentioned this. The Rockets lost to the Jazz tonight. This stuff happens. Like someone is saying the Nuggets are going to be in the play-in at this point. No, they're not going to be in the play-in. Like the Denver Nuggets are going to be a top 5 seed. If they have terrible luck throughout the rest of the year with injuries, I can see them being a 5. But even then, like I look around the West, I'm not too worried. Like this is the Thunder and the Rockets, and then the Nuggets, and then there's everybody else. That's still kind of how it is. Yeah. I think Big Honey says the zone defense breaking down to this degree is kind of a red flag. Yeah. Now, I will say tonight they were running like a matchup zone. It wasn't just like their normal zone. They were running some different stuff tonight. So it's a little bit different, but they still are having the kind of these issues of understanding how to like. Dudley doesn't. They are doing different things. Like this is not, I don't think, the simplest system. It's just supposed to be very clear what their assignments are. But that's supposed to be one of the things, and that's not been the case. That's why if you go back, you will just see routinely two guys running to the same spot. That's how all those open threes get created. I think the coaching staff is less concerned about those because they're just like, yeah, you miscommunicated. Like, get it right, and then we'll be fine. The effort stuff is what kills them, right? It's the lack of closeouts. But there are just like so many shots where there's nobody in their face. I thought Cougar Flag was hitting tough stuff. By the way, people are talking about AG. At this point, I kind of expect AG and Christian. Ryan is more hesitant here. I think Christmas is a good target for both of them. Like, I kind of wonder if we'll get both of them back for the Christmas game. If not there, then like immediately afterwards. Sometimes teams wait and then bring them back that first week in January. So Jeff asked, don't you think it's because they do different things every game defensively is why they make so many mistakes? No. So, okay. The way I've come to understand it is last year was the problem was that problem is that they were doing different stuff every game, every possession, and it was driving the guys nuts, especially Aaron Gordon. They have more simplified game plans, but they're learning new schemes and how they're supposed to execute them. And so they just got to get used to that. And they don't have practice time because this is the NBA and the NBA is stupid and doesn't allow anybody scheduling time for practice. And it's just travel. So Sean says, in the modern NBA, I literally do not care about the paint, defend the three. This is where I'm at is let Ryan Nembhard score 60 at the rim. Do not let Max Christie hit three pointers. Do not let Ryan Nembhard hit 4 3-pointers. Do not let Klay Thompson hit 3 3-pointers. Like, that is the difference. So, okay. That'll do it for Locked On Nuggets. This is a bad loss, a truly bad loss, and is a concerning one. And if the Nuggets do not improve, it's going to get way worse, and they're going to have to dig themselves out of a hole again when the schedule gets even worse. So it's bad. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's bad. But we'll see how they do on the road. They start their long road trip this week. Tomorrow, Swipe will give you his thoughts on the defense and more. I'm sure he will target the wings and why they're bad. Then we'll be back on Tuesday night with Joe Jinx, me and Ryan. You can catch that. Hope you guys have yourselves a great week. I'll talk to you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets. Oof. What a loss. What a crappy loss.